Hi my dear friends, today we will be studying the second sex hormone, that is second female sex hormone, that is progestins and antiprogestins. Shall we go to the topic? Today I will be teaching you progesterone with a small introduction, definition, the effects of progesterone on the body, the drugs related to progesterone and progesterone antagonist. Coming to the introduction on progesterone. What is actually progesterone? What hormone? Now it is the female sex hormone. Now from where is it derived? As I told you, all the gonadal hormones are derived from cholesterol. Cholesterol is the starting compound in synthesis of all the sex hormones, whether it is testosterone, estrogen or progesterone. Now progesterone is also synthesized from cholesterol. Now where is it being synthesized? It is either synthesized in the corpus luteum during the second phase of menstrual cycle, that is the secretory phase of menstrual cycle. This is under the influence of luteinizing hormone from the anterior pituitary. This is the control of hormone release in the body. Now during the secondary phase, it is the corpus luteum which secretes the progesterone. Now after once the female becomes pregnant, during in that phase, the secretion of progesterone is taken over by the placenta. Okay, now what actually is the function of progesterone in our body? It is nothing but maintaining pregnancy, helps or favors pregnancy. It helps to maintain or continue pregnancy. Now in the second picture on the right hand side, I have shown progesterones are of two types, natural progesterones and synthetic progestins. Now what is natural progesterone? That is that progesterone that is secreted inside our body. That is nothing but a 21 carbon steroid compound. It is a 21 carbon steroid compound. While synthetic progestins will have a higher oral activity when compared to the natural progestins. Okay, they are also 21 carbon. Apart from the progesterone activity, they will have a weaker anti-ovulatory action also. Now, as I told you, what progesterone actually does? It actually favors pregnancy. What all ways it helps in pregnancy? Prevents endometrial shedding, then reducing the unwanted uterine motility, and also by inhibiting the immunological reaction towards the fetus. What all immunological reaction can take place? Now suppose that is it reduces the T cell mediated immunity by decreasing the T cell function and preventing the immunological rejection of fetus. This is how immunological reaction towards fetus is being reduced. Coming to the sources of progesterone or the site of synthesis, as I told you, in females it is the corpus luteum during the second half of menstrual cycle, placenta once the woman becomes pregnant, and also from the adrenal cortex normally. Then in males it is usually from the testis and adrenal cortex. This is coming to the picture. This is a picture showing the release and control of progesterone. As I told you, GnRH from the hypothalamus controls the release of the anterior pituitary, which secretes the luteinizing hormone. The luteinizing hormone in the second half of the menstrual cycle stimulates the secretion of progesterone. Okay, this is how it is being released out from the gonads. Okay, during the luteal phase of menstrual cycle. Coming to the normal ranges of progesterone in males and females. In males, it is secreted at a range of 1 to 5, mainly 1 milligram per day, and the plasma level will remain 0.03 microgram per deciliter. Now, if you ask me the effects of progesterone in males, nothing, the action is not actually clear. But in females, the follicular phase, during the follicular phase only, there's a slight higher range when compared to males. But in luteal phase, the plasma range will be 0.5 to 2 microgram per deciliter, and it reaches the peak in the third trimester of pregnancy. These are the ranges of progesterone in males and females. Coming to the progesterone receptor, that is PR, and they are activated steroid receptors. They come and bind to the nuclear receptors, present in the nucleus. Now if you ask me where are the organs or where are progesterone receptors expressed, these are expressed over various sites, but our concern is towards the uterus, mainly towards the uterus only. Now what happens when now let's see the mechanism of action. Progesterone receptor, once progesterone is being secreted, they comes and bind to the progesterone receptor and move towards the nucleus where there is dimerization of these receptors. Finally they go and activate protein synthesis with the help of co-activators. No need to go in detail of the mechanism of action of progesterone. Just understand that progesterone receptors are present in the nucleus. The progesterone come and bind to the progesterone receptors, dimerization of the receptor, finally protein synthesis with the help of co-activator. This is enough for you. Okay. Now coming to the effects of progesterone. What progesterone does in each organs. Okay. Coming to the first one, as I told you, the most important or what we are concerned is about the uterus. What progesterone does in the uterus. As I told you earlier, it helps in the maintenance of pregnancy. How it helps in the maintenance of pregnancy. Progesterone brings about the secretory phase in the endometrium. In the picture as you see, ovulation takes place at the 14th day of the menstrual cycle where there is an LH and LH surge. After that there is secretion of the progesterone in the secretory phase. There is corpus luteal formation and progesterone secretes. Once there is sexual activity during this phase, the female becomes pregnant and the uterus is maintained with the help of progesterone. It maintains pregnancy. Coming to the cervix. Progesterone causes the production of viscid cervical secretion. It helps in the formation of secretion. In vagina, it increases leukocytal infiltration in the epithelium. Now, in the breast, what it does is it helps in the proliferation of the acini in the mammary glands. Now, in body temperature, it helps. It rises a 5-degree rise in body temperature. CNS, it causes higher level will cause sedation and also it will stimulate respiration. Metabolism, if you ask me, it will impair glucose and there is glucose intolerance leading to glucose intolerance, and also may tend to raise the LDL, bad cholesterol, and lower the HDL. In pituitary, they have an anti-ovulatory action by reducing LH secretion, that is more progesterone will inhibit the pituitary, decreasing the LH. Coming to progesterone derivatives, allengi progestins.
Coming to the classification of synthetic progestins or progesterone agonists. Now here I told you they are also 21 carbon atom, and now they can be divided into progesterone derivatives, that is the pure progesterones. They show activity similar to progesterones. Then another group, that is 19 or testosterone derivatives, which are 18 carbon atom. So the synthetic progestins can be divided into progesterone derivatives that shows the similar activity of a natural progesterone, and 19 or testosterone derivatives which are 18 carbon atoms. Coming to synthetic progestins, first one, progesterone derivatives. As I told you, progesterone derivatives or 21 carbon atoms show activity similar to our natural progesterones in our body. Now, this another special feature of this progesterones or progesterone derivatives are they have a weaker anti-ovulatory activity, that is weaker anti-ovulation. So, these are used only in cases for hormone replacement therapy, threatened abortion, and endometriosis. So, speaking about progesterone derivative in 21 carbon atoms, they are pure progestins or show similar activity to our progesterone. They have a weaker anti-ovulatory activity and also are used as used in hormone replacement therapy, threatened abortion, and endometriosis. Now, talking about the second form, that is the 18 carbon atom, that is 19 or testosterone derivative. Now, if you compare that with the first progesterone derivative, they have a weaker estrogenic activity, androgenic activity, and anabolic action, but they are a potent anti-ovulatory action. Now, this potent anti-ovulatory action is used in for contraception, especially in contraceptive pills. Okay, since the synthetic progestins which are 18 carbon atoms are having a potent anti-ovulatory activity, it is used for contraception. That is where their use come. So, if I ask you the main use of progestins, it is for contraceptions also. Okay, they are used in contraception.
Now coming to the examples for each. Progesterone derivatives, 21 carbon atom, includes medroxyprogesterone acetate, megestrol acetate, and dehydrogestrone, then hydroxyprogesterone caproate. There is a newer compound that for you no need to understand. And we'll go to the next part, that is 19 nortestosterone derivative, that is the 18 carbon atom. Older drugs include norethistierone, ethinyl, estranol, and levonorgestrel. These are the common names that we come across. The newer one include desogestrel and norgestimate. Okay, these are the newer 19 nortestosterone derivatives. Coming to the pharmacokinetic, first part, the absorption. In absorption, they undergo high first-pass metabolism. Hence, they are mostly given in IM in oily suspension. Mostly given by IM in oily suspension. Since they have a short half-life in the plasma, they usually prescribe for twice or thrice daily administration. Micronized preparation of progesterone is rapidly absorbed after it is absorbed by any route. Now, newer preparation is present of progesterone is present, which is rapidly absorbed by micronized preparation, that is rapidly absorbed by any route. This is about the absorption because it has high first pass metabolism, so it is not given orally. It can be given IM in any oily suspension. Coming to the distribution, it is extensively bound to plasma protein, that is primarily to albumin and then to cortisol binding proteins. Coming to the metabolism, it is reduced to pregnanidiol or pregnanetriol and pregnanolone, okay, in liver. Some conjugation results in the formation of glucuronide and sulfate metabolites. Where is it excreted out through? The metabolites of pregnanidiol and pregnanolone are excreted through urine or bile. In bile, it undergoes enterohepatic recycling and excreted out through fecus.
Coming to the clinical uses of progestins. Now, before going into the clinical use, I want to make one thing very clear. I told you progesterones are secreted in the secondary phase, that is after ovulation. And suppose the female becomes pregnant during the ovulatory phase, this progesterone will help to maintain the pregnancy. Okay, this is one function of progesterone. Now, suppose we start synthetic progestins in the beginning of her menstrual cycle. Here, this progesterone will inhibit ovulation, and this property is used for contraception. Just understand, it is after the if it is after if it is after implantation, then pregnancy will continue, and if it is before the first phase of menstrual cycle itself, if you give progestins, it will inhibit ovulation. Okay, this concept should be clear, because once I teach you uses, I will tell you it is used in contraception. So you will be confused. Ma'am told in the beginning it favors pregnancy, but it is used as contraception. How? Now this is how it is being used. I hope this part has become clear. You can also read the textbook to make it once again, so that you can get it into your mind. Okay, I hope I had made this part clear to you. Now, coming to the uses. First one, first use is hormone replacement therapy. As I told you, in estrogen, due to the decrease in estrogen, the hormonal decrease after menopause brings about many changes in women. So to bring those changes, to overcome those changes, we combine both progesterone as well as estrogen and help to overcome these changes. So first use is hormone replacement therapy. Second, as I told you, contraception. Contraception is the most important use of progestins. Now for this purpose, we usually use synthetic progestins, because it has the property of anti-ovulatory. Potent anti-ovulatory agents are used for this purpose. Either we use it singly with progesterone only tablets, or we will be dealing with combined pills with estrogens. Okay, now we will have a class on contraception separately in our next week. Okay. Third use is to control dysfunctional uterine bleeding. What is dysfunctional uterine bleeding? It is an irregular and profuse bleeding from the uterus which is due to the hyperplastic changes in the endometrium due to estrogen activity only without progesterone. The estrogen activity leads to hyperplastic changes which leads to a profuse bleeding from the uterus. Now if you administer progestins at this stage, it will decrease these changes and you can control bleeding. Then again dysmenorrhea with the same property, treatment of dysmenorrhea, and pain also can be reduced. Fifth is suppression of postpartum lactation, and sixth one is management of endometriosis. Endometriosis it results from ectopic endometrial cells. Now these ectopic endometrial cells responds to estrogen and progesterone and can cause dysmenorrhea, which may be with painful swelling and infertility. Now these proliferations of ectopic cells can be inhibited if estrogen is not available by continuous administration of progesterone. Okay, so administration of progesterone will inhibit this proliferation of ectopic tissue in endometriosis, thus it is useful in the management of endometriosis. And finally, treatment of endometrial carcinoma. Sorry. In carcinoma, what happens? In a higher doses of metastatic or advanced endometrial mass can be reduced with progesterone in inoperable cases. Usually the used drug are medroxyprogesterone. Now these forms are usually used to control or to treat endometrial carcinoma. I hope you understood with the uses of progestins. Now what are the contraindications for progesterones? Progesterones are not usually given for undiagnosed vaginal bleeding. Unless we know the cause for vaginal bleeding, it is not advised. Then in missed abortion, and also those patients who are having a non-sensitivity to progesterone, those who have hypersensitivity reaction to progesterone. In these cases we contraindicate progesterones. Okay, coming to the side effects of progesterone. First one is breast engorgement. Breast engorgement, headache, and some may have mood swings with increased body temperature, acne formation, and esophageal reflux disease. These are the most commonly seen side effects with progesterone. Second, some females may also experience irregular bleeding or amenorrhea. Some may not have menses for 2 to 3 months, or some may have intermittent menstrual cycles or irregular bleeding in a cycle. This is also very common in progesterone administration. The third one, 19-OR testosterone derivatives will decrease HDL level, that is cholesterol level can increase in some cases. Also in HRT, progesterone can increase the risk of breast cancer. Finally, diabetes. I told you in my physiological action, it causes glucose intolerance that can lead to diabetes. So diabetes can be precipitated on long-term use, especially with levonorgestrel. Okay, I hope you got with the side effects. Now we will go into antiprogestins or progesterone antagonist. The drug's name is mifepristone. Only one drug I will be teaching you, mifepristone. So as the name suggests, it will show antagonistic activity to progesterone. Now when you study some drugs in some hormonal drugs, it will have some partial agonistic activity also. So when I discuss about this drug, it will show some partial progesterone activity also. These 3 chapters are a bit confusing, but try to understand what are the specific action these drugs do. So we'll go into the antiprogestins, that is mifepristone. Mifepristone is a 19-norsteroid synthetic steroidal derivative that will competitively block the progesterone receptor and thus prevents the binding of progesterone to its receptor. Now it is not a pure antagonist because it is not a pure antagonist, it is just considered as a progesterone receptor modulator. Why? Because it has a partial agonistic activity at the progesterone receptors, and also it has anti-glucocorticoid, anti-androgenic activity also. Okay, so this is not considered as a pure as I told you, it is not considered as a pure progesterone antagonist, but it is a progesterone receptor modulator only. Okay, so it is administered during different phases of the ovarian cycle. It can be administered at different phases, and pharmacokinetics, if I tell you, it is active orally, bioavailability is 25%, metabolized in the liver and excreted out through bile. let me just go into the pharmacological action or mechanism of action of mifepristone. As I told you, mifepristone comes and binds to the progesterone receptors, that too competitively for both progesterone receptors, but it will exhibit some agonistic activity. I told you, even though its name is anti-progesterone, it will exhibit some progesterone activity. Now, if they are administered at the early stage of pregnancy, the use of mifepristone is usually for termination of pregnancy. So that too, if in early stages of pregnancy, termination of early stage of pregnancy. Suppose mifepristone is given at the early stage of pregnancy, they come and cause decidual breakdown by blocking the PR receptors, that is progesterone receptors. This will lead to detachment of the blastocyst, which decreases HCG. HCG is nothing but human chorionic gonadotropin. Okay, this decreases. As a result, decrease in progesterone secretion from the corpus luteum will cause decidual breakdown and expulsion of the fetus, or whatever is being formed, it will expel. Also, it will sensitize the myometrium to increase contractile action and causing cervical softening, where the product of conception will be expelled out. This is how or what happens in mifepristone. This is how the action takes place. So I hope you got into the I hope you understood with the pharmacological action. Now, coming to the uses of mifepristone, I told you it is used in the termination of early pregnancy. This is what I explained in the previous slide. Now, it is used as a contraceptive given once a month. It can also be given as a contraception once a month. It is used for cervical ripening and also in Cushing syndrome. Now, the main side effects of mifepristone includes uterine bleeding, possibly an incomplete abortion, and also uterine cramp. Incomplete abortion when it is given singly. Now, how is mifepristone given for early termination of pregnancy? Let's see. Usually, mifepristone is combined with misoprostol, which is a PGE1 analog, and used for termination of pregnancy. Now, if you give alone, that the previous side effects happens. Now, this, if it is given together, complete expulsion of product of conception. Okay, so once again I'm mentioning the uses. The uses includes for early termination of pregnancy. Early termination of pregnancy, it is used in contraception, that is monthly contraception, also for cervical ripening and Cushing syndrome. Now, single dose of 600 microgram can help to soften the cervix and facilitate induction of labor and surgical abortion. I hope you got with my class today. Okay. Okay. The next progesterone antagonist is ulipristal. All of you should go read what is ulipristal, what is the action, what is the other name for this drug, and the uses, so that you people read and you get something into your mind. Okay, when I keep saying, you people just hear it. I don't know how much of you understand it or how much of you are getting confused. So please read and answer me in the comment box. Please do not copy paste the answer as you did with the last class. I hope each one of you read the textbook and answer it. Okay, I hope today's class was useful for you. One thing is, we will get confused what are the uses, and when you come with the use and action, something when you come to the antagonist, it has partial agonistic activity, it has different action. I hope you understand that. For understanding that, please go read the textbooks also to make things easier. With today's class, with this I'm ending my today's class. I hope it was useful. Please do answer me this question in the comment box. See you next time, and please do write your name and roll number for attendance.